In this video, guys, what I'm going to do is talk to you about the specific offers that are converting the best in 2024. So if you're sat there struggling with an offer that you don't think is a winning offer, perhaps you're just not getting the engagement you want, and frankly, you're not making the money that you so desire, this video is going to help you find an offer, and it's going to give you the reasoning of why your offers to date potentially haven't worked so that you can avoid those mistakes going forward. All right, now the first step to understand here, guys, is that the economy is completely different compared to what it was a few years back. Now, what I'm not going to do in this video is go through a big macroeconomics, lesson to try and update you on what's going on in the current global marketplace. But there are a couple of key takeaways you need to understand at a foundational level before we can actually go into the nuts and bolts specifics of the offers themselves, okay? So like I say, the first thing to recognize and understand here is that the economy has changed. And what we are seeing is basically reduced liquidity across the board. And what that really means, it's a fancy way of saying that businesses and people have less cash to spend, okay? Reasons for that being, increase in interest rates and a number of different things that's happening across the kind of global economic scale here that we're not going to go to in this video. But what you need to understand is that because people and businesses have less liquid cash, they are more sensitive to price increases, okay? Or they're just frankly more sensitive to higher prices, okay? So what we are seeing is that the market is moving towards favouring low commitment spending, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that means just shortly now, okay? And on top of that, we are naturally seeing a decline in demand for traditional services, okay? So we're seeing with the advent of AI and the increase of growth, across that whole global vertical, we're seeing the death and decline in old traditional services that potentially you are trying to deliver your agency services to, and thereby failing, okay? So the second step here is to really understand the challenges of cold traffic. Now, cold traffic in this sense is what I'm referring to as anything that you are acquiring through ads or indeed through cold outreach, LinkedIn messages, cold email campaigns, whatever it might be. Now, the old way of doing this is getting a pool of cold traffic, going to that pool, trying to pitch them your offer. But the problem here is that they don't know who you are. And because of that, they don't trust you. And because of that, they won't buy from you, okay? So it's very, very difficult to actually build trust, especially if you're trying to do this in a short amount of time in front of a cold audience, all right? So the new way that you need to pivot to that I'm going to talk you through in this video is going to provide you with a way to basically leverage cold traffic and bypass that whole process, okay? So the way that that starts is through a low commitment offer, something that you can deliver in a low cost fashion and thereby price it in a low cost way, which is going to help you build trust, and then you're going to be able to actually upsell higher ticket services. So when we talk about low cost, low commitment offers, the reality of commitments with agency agreements is that if you have a client and if that client frankly has more capital or leverage, financial leverage than you, they aren't going to be beholden to any contract that you give them. So you might think that having a contract in place is going to hold them to, paying you your monthly retainers. But if you don't have enough money to fight them or time or know-how, then you're not going to be able to get that money from them if they decide to stop paying you, okay? So this is where the beauty of a low commitment and low cost offer comes into place. It gives you that way, it gives you an immediate feedback mechanism to build that initial trust with your prospects, okay? So in terms of low cost, here's what you can do, okay? You can offer trials, you can offer one-time setups, you can offer infrastructure builds, or you can offer a community access deal, okay? And we're going to talk about those in a minute. Now, why do high prices and high commitments lead to failure? Well, really what it all comes down to is value and creating an environment where you can actually promise and then deliver and over-deliver on that promise when it comes to value. And second to that, it's actually important and imperative that your prospects actually feel the effect of that value. They get some sort of outcome. So if they've joined your community, or if they bought an ebook, or they paid a one-time setup for an initial project or whatever it might be, you actually have to have a scenario where they benefit from that, okay? You can't just talk about delivering value and say, look, you spent this and then we delivered you value. They actually have to feel the effects of that, okay? And that's what leads to retention. So when it comes to current hot offers, here's what you need to know, all right? So I'm going to talk through the types of offers that you need to bring into your general marketing strategy in order to overcome this cold traffic problem. Now, because market dynamics have changed, the way that you deliver agency services should have changed too. Now, what we kind of advocate within the acquisition partner umbrella is that if you are trying to pitch traditional retainer-based agency services, you should pivot to build and release infrastructures. And the reason for that is tenfold. I've gone through that in a load of different videos on the channel. So what I might do is just link those below. So if you're interested in learning how you can actually avoid the commoditized trap of low ticket retainers and struggling to actually close clients on those, to actually building something that's significant in terms of revenue generated on the front end when it comes to delivering infrastructures and build and release offers, then check out those videos. But what it comes down to is two things. Okay, so current hot offers wise, in the agency space, what we are seeing is, if you separate down the middle in terms of your services that you're delivering in B2B and e-com, there's always a demand for lead gen. Okay, so if you are an agency or if you're a consultant or freelancer and you're delivering those services to other businesses, you're operating in the B2B space. And when you operate in that space and another company pays you, ultimately what they will be paying you to do is have some sort of material effect on their company that increases their growth and increases their revenues. Okay, so whether that's creating a logo, graphic design, copywriting, lead gen, appointment setting, closing, whatever it might be, you need to keep it in the forefront of your mind. Your North Star always has to be, my job as an agency owner or my job as a freelancer or contractor is to actually add to the top line of this company that I'm working with. Okay, so there's always a demand for lead gen. Lead gen is something that you can always make money from in any single niche, any single vertical, wherever you are in the world, as long as you have the right type of offer and the right type of pricing strategy that we're going to talk through in a second here. Now, the second one, and when it comes to infrastructures, this is something that we've done hundreds of times over and over for different brands, different clients. When operating within the e-com space, focusing on e-com email marketing and SMS retention is pretty much the one and only sustainable business model that we're seeing, incredibly high conversion rates for today. So you might be sat there saying, well, I could run Facebook ads for e-com brands or whatever it might be. What I would say to you is, what happens to you as a service provider? What happens to your revenue when that brand decides to turn that acquisition spend off? Okay, so if you're delivering Facebook ads or TikTok ads, whatever it might be, paid ads, acquisition as a service for e-com brands, and they decide to press pause on their ad spend, then you are out of a service deliverer, which means you can't make money from it, right? Now, on the contrast, and in the contrary, if you offer email and SMS as retention services for brands, then they will need that service for lifetime. Okay, so anything that involves a brand and their ability to increase lifetimes and average order values and placed values, delivering that as a service and a transformation is always going to be something that's in need. Okay, so on the two sides of the coin here, B2B, focus on lead gen, those are the winning offers, and focus on e-com, email, and SMS. All right. Now, second to that, in terms of bringing in and leveraging a low ticket, low commitment offer, we are seeing great success with communities. Okay, and what communities offer you is an environment where you can, for very low ticket price, give your ideal client profiles a taste of what your higher ticket services and products will actually be like. Okay, so it gives them an opportunity to actually get into your brand ecostructure, infrastructure, gives you a way to actually be able to liaise with that customer and client directly, and it's going to actually help you go further down the consultative sales process, where you can start unpicking, their greatest pain points, emotional problems that they're having within their businesses, and what you can do to help solve them. All right. So when it comes to pricing, it's obviously important to have the right offer, but when it comes to pricing, we are operating in an incredibly price-sensitive marketplace. Okay, so here's what you need to do to overcome that. The first thing is that it's not a matter of simply charging lower prices for your higher ticket service. It's about creating something where you are able and feasible to charge a low ticket price. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you're changing your whole business model from a high ticket acquisition partner, whatever it is, or growth partner, whatever you do. It's about creating a new channel, a new basically sort of flow where lower ticket clients and interested parties can actually get their foot on the ladder and start engaging with your brand. Okay, so we have our school community at $79 per month. That gives our clients and customers a very low ticket, low cost, low stress way, low risk way of getting into our acquisition partner brand ecosphere, where we can then start liaising with them and seeing, do they have the right budget? Are they looking to achieve things that we can actually help them with? And then we can go from there in terms of how we actually connect with them to deliver our higher ticket services, right? So on top of that, you want to reduce the commitment. So within school, we actually have a 48-hour cooling off period. So for any reason, if you join the school community and you want to leave within 48 hours, we give 100% of a refund. And then from there, it's a monthly subscription, so you can cancel any time. There's no contract lock-ins. It's a very, very risk-free and simple and easy way for individuals to actually come across our brand, like what we do, engage with us, vote in confidence by paying, for a low ticket item, and then from there we can see if there's an environment where we can actually continue to help them. All right. One thing we're seeing is that being transparent with pricing is actually leading to higher conversions. So a few years back, you would gatekeep price. You wouldn't actually tell your prospects price until you were able to get them on a call. When it comes to high ticket services or ultra high ticket services, you simply can't pitch price straight away, not least if you're actually creating something bespoke prospects. And typically, if you do that, if you say, our system is $10,000 or $36,000, whatever it might be, it's going to be very hard from there to actually demonstrate your value stack. Okay, so you have to go through a bit of a process to show the transformation that your prospects are actually guaranteed to get, and then you can pitch the price. Start pitching the price, talking about costings. It's going to have that necessary context that you will need to actually be able to close that client. Okay, but what we see is that you can actually introduce price earlier. So maybe you don't put it on your landing pages that you're driving cold traffic to from ads or traffic from your cold email campaigns, but you include it in your application process. So you might have a qualifier in there. You might say, coaching with us costs $5,000 a month or whatever. Is this something that you can afford? Yes or no? All right. So you're not stating the specific price, but you're getting an idea of, how qualified your prospect is, but they're also getting an idea of kind of the arena that they're in, whether they're going down a process where they're going to have to spend $50 or $5,000. All right. So this is going to actually help build trust, and it's going to reduce friction in your sales process. What you want to do as well is make your offer not ambiguous. Okay, so I've got a load of other different videos on how to create winning offers, but what we are seeing the highest conversion rates with is our offers that are very specific. So it might be, add 60K per month in placed order values through email and SMS within 90 days or your money back. Whatever that might be, when it comes to a specific offer, instead of, we are a marketing agency that helps e-commerce brands with their retention strategies, including email and SMS. Okay, focus on being super clear and avoid ambiguity. Now, the final step here to talk about is making everything quick, simple, and easy. Okay, so when it comes to the low ticket and low cost, low commitment offer, you want to make sign up easy. You want to make access easy. You want to make it easy for your clients to say yes, and then easy, therefore, to onboard them. Okay, so don't overcomplicate it. Now, no matter how good your offer is, if you are trying to flog that offer in a dying market, you are not going to see success. Okay, so sometimes all it takes is a very nuanced and light pivot in terms of what you are delivering and what market you are delivering that to. So you might have an offer that's pretty good. Your service, your transformation you might deliver might revolve around B2B lead gen from email, whatever it might be. And you might find that the vertical that you're operating in just isn't producing results. Okay, maybe it's recruiting, or maybe it's print media, whatever, cable TV. Okay, whatever it might be, you need to understand that it might be the vertical, it might be the industry that's the problem and not necessarily your offer. Okay, so dying markets, these are declining markets, high-end retail, commercial real estate, and specifically offices. If you're trying to do lead gen for office leasing agents, whatever it might be, now's the time to start pivoting. Now, when it comes to thriving verticals, it's very simple. Okay, so AI is obviously something that's seeing exponential growth right now and has done for the last few years. Second to that and tangential to that is cybersecurity. And then in terms of other kind of alternative industries you might not be considering, renewables, healthcare, telemedicine, specifically remote work and tech, and of course, e-commerce. All right. So in summary, when it comes to actually pinpointing an offer that's going to work in 2024, here's what you need to do. First things first, you need to actually reevaluate your offer. Okay, so is your offer good enough? Is it going to stand the test of time? Is it in a vertical where there is a upwards growth trajectory, right? If not, or actually even if so, what you need to do is start testing and repackaging low ticket offers. Okay, so you might have a program that you want to roll into a low ticket offer, or a free guide that you then package into a low ticket offer, low commitment offer, whatever it might be. Start testing out low ticket when it comes to your funnel. Okay, this is going to help you start building trust, and it's going to create an environment where you can promise and then over deliver value when it comes to that promise. All right. From there, you want to make sure that you're obviously leveraging a growing industry. You need to price effectively and then avoid ultimately anything that locks your clients in, anything that's going to perceive or have them perceive your service as being something that they are going to be unnecessarily committed to, which is going to increase risk for them. Okay, so let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below, guys, and we'll get you in the next one. All right, cheers.